Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Naomi number 4. Talk about a lot of hype for this series, huh? Now, let me tell you something. Is the hype worth it? I don't know. I think the jury's still out. I'm not sure if this story is extraordinary or just plain good. I'm not sure what it is. But I will say this. I will say that if rumors are true that Naomi number 1, 9.8s of number 1 are going for are listed for anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on eBay, that's insane, man. The speculation market for Naomi is it's in another stratosphere. And, it's an open question whether or not such speculation is actually good for the hobby. Because you got to wonder, how are we going to get new people to come on board and collect the Naomi series, if we make early issues like that so completely accessible? It's just kind of insane. But now I get that there's second printings and there's reprintings and everything else, but it just seems a little bit, seems rather extraordinary, and something just seems off. Guys, just a quick note on speculation here, because there's been a huge, and I'll segue into the Naomi series in a moment, but there's been a huge influx lately on YouTube of a lot of channels, which I think is really cool, talking about speculation and guys showing off the comic collection, and I love them. I love seeing what other guys get and fellow collectors, because we really are a tight-knit, close community, so it's really great that there's an increase in, or maybe it's just what I'm noticing more lately on YouTube, but it's really kind of cool to see all the speculation out there. But you got to do the math on Naomi. If let's say there's like 25,000 issues of number 1 that were printed, and I'm speculating, I'm not sure what there was, but it was a lower print run. So let's say there's 20 or even 30,000 issues printed. I mean, most of those issues were bought up by guys like me who are collecting comic books already. How many of those are actually new readers? That's the question I have. And then all of a sudden, Naomi gets popular, and then guys that are collecting Superman or Action Comics or even Green Lantern, because Naomi at the end of issue 4 here, she might be linked to, her origins might be linked to the White Lantern mythology. Increases all this speculation. Now suddenly the guys that are normally collecting Superman and Action Comics, which sells about 60 to 70,000 a month, suddenly they want an issue of Naomi number 1, but only 30,000 were printed. So right away, DC needs to reprint at least a third or 2/3 more comics just to meet the demand. So I can understand that there's an increase in popularity of it, but to literally go from a $20 to $30 to $40 to $50 comic book. I mean, even this, Naomi number 4. By the way, there's still issues of this on the stand at my comic shop here in southern Alberta. This is, apparently this is sold out elsewhere, and it's still going for $10 or $15 or $20. That's insane. Fortunately, I got a retailer that is actually ethical. He just leaves them on the shelf. They're still on the shelf here. And I have this thing where I refuse to buy more than 1 off the shelf, or more than 2 if it's a popular comic, because I want to give other people a chance to buy it up and scoop it up. Because I'm an old-time collector, it's easy for me to access and find these things cheap. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it that nobody really talks about on YouTube. Everyone's hoarding their collection as if somehow these things are difficult to come by. They're not. They're everywhere. Really, they are. Now, in any event, talk about Naomi number 1. Naomi number 1, guys, Naomi number 4. Naomi number 4, not a lot. Well, I shouldn't say not a lot happens. We get more dialogue here. But we get an explanation. We get Naomi number 3 ended with Naomi talking to her dad in a cave. Her adoptive parents basically drove her out to the middle of nowhere, showed her this cave, and it's discovered that her dad is Rannian, because there's a Rannian ship there. He's from Ran, and she's not sure, who her mother is, but her dad starts talking to her and basically tells her the story that he's from Ran. He was sent to Ran on basically a mission to follow a Thanagarian spy. The mechanic named D, he is actually that Thanagarian spy that her dad was sent to spy on. Her adopted dad was sent to spy on. And basically they ended up making a life on Earth. They were part of the Ran-Thanagar War, and for whatever reason, the authorities on Ran and authorities on Thanagar must have forgot about their operatives on Earth, and for whatever reason, they just made a life on Earth. So Naomi's adopted dad and the mechanic D, they just moved on with their life and made a life on Earth. And then lo and behold, one particular day, their communication devices went off. Both the Thanagarians and the Rannians operatives' devices went off, and they followed the signal to a football field, where suddenly out of a portal appeared, and it looked like a group of individuals were attacking a woman trying to protect a baby, and ultimately the attack. Naomi's dad and Dee managed to ward off the attack, but not before one of the persons was killed that was protecting Naomi, and that's how Naomi was found. So that's really all that was revealed here. Now that's a pretty cool revelation, but we still don't know who Naomi's real parents are. We don't know who her real mother is. We don't know who her real father is. What we do know is when Naomi picked up a device that was apparently in the ship, or that was on her when she was a young baby, it had the symbol of the White Lantern Corps, and that's why there's now speculation that everyone's speculating and buying up Blackest Night issue number 7, I believe, which is the first appearance of the White Lantern symbol. So yeah, so there it is. Now here's what I think is more groundbreaking for Naomi, in my view, or at least it seems to me very unique in today's comic book illustrations, comic book interiors. And the work of Jamal Campbell here is fantastic. He really is. He's got these full-page spreads where he's got basically 10-panel grids. So he uses a full-page spread with basically 10-panel grids underneath, and then he shakes that up. Then he does a 10-panel grid vertically, and then he's got a full-page spread. And then he'll follow that up with another full-page spread, the opposite. I mean, he changes things up a little bit. It gives it a very cinematic feel. If there's one downplay, the dialogue is sometimes hard to read because it's really small, but it does have it's a unique reading experience a little bit. It's a little bit more unique, and it stands out more from other comic books in that respect. Here we got the five panels here with the 10-panel grid over there with the full panel in between. Again, Jamal Campbell, he's just shaking things up a little bit. And in fact, and then he has a 30-panel grid. When's the last time you guys saw 15 panels a page? I mean, forget about the 9-panel grid of Mr. Miracle. Look at this, 30 panels, 30-panel grid on a double-page spread. Now again, that really helps move things along. You get sort of a movie cinematic feel to it. You can criticize it perhaps by saying, well, the dialogue can be somewhat hard to read, but I think it works. It does work, and I think it conveys a sense of good storytelling. And then all of a sudden, I mean, just think about this. We have a 30-page spread like this, 30-page spread followed up by a massive single image in a double-page spread showing the attack at a football field of the groups that are attacking the woman that is protecting Naomi. Now, you know, this is really good visuals, and then all of a sudden we lose the 5-panel grid patterns, and we go to 5-panel grids again, but with again different layout design. It's very well done. So, and now it's coupled that with a good story. We got the full page spread of young Naomi. So overall, this is actually a fairly I can see the appeal of this comic book because it really reads well. Here's a gorgeous image of Naomi showing her eyes, the White Lantern symbol in her eyes. That's gorgeously rendered. A major clue that's leading to a lot of speculation again on Blackest Night number 7, the first appearance of White Lantern, first appearance of White Lantern in the pages of that series Blackest Night, which was an 8-issue series by Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis, I believe it was. In any event, verdict overall, this thing, we're 4 issues in. We could probably have a little bit more story at this point. I predict, but by the end of issue 6, this is definitely typical Bendis insofar as I don't think we're going to get a lot of revelations. I really, really don't. We're probably not even going to meet her parents until probably issue 36. That's just the way Bendis operates. So I don't really, in terms of a narrative, I think this has the strengths of Bendis as a writer and the weaknesses of him as a writer. Surprise, surprise, right? But what it has going for it is that it's a new character, it's a new series, and the DC universe really needs something to maybe shake it up a bit. I'm really disappointed lately with where DC is going. Superman in action seems to be on a sort of definitely a downhill trend in terms of excitement. I'm not really liking where the Red Mist or the whole Leviathan thing seems to be going in Action Comics. Hopefully that'll be picking up this week. We'll see. But, you know, Aquaman's ending. I like Kelly Sue DeConnick's run. Wonder Woman's a disaster with J. Willow Wilson. That seems completely directionless. Batman under King is completely directionless. Where we got to resort to naked men fighting with Bane and Flashpoint Batman. I mean, there's lots of things to really be concerned about in the DC universe right now. The Justice League is not bad. I'm not minding Justice League because at least it's telling the history of the DC universe. But it's what's a little bit concerning even with the Justice League is that it feels significantly disconnected from the rest of the DC universe. None of the writers are actually talking to each other. None of the lines are really, none of the connections are really there. It's not lining up very well at all. It's very convoluted, and the comic books, there isn't really a through line. There's not really a sense of continuity between the various comic books, and I do need that. That makes for better reading. And Marvel is just really starting to hit it out of the park again. I mean, the pendulum is definitely shifting. The writing over at Marvel right now is just fantastic, and they're hitting it out of the park, it seems, on multiple issues that Marvel's coming out with. And I think one of the things that they're maintaining consistently at Marvel is the importance of continuity. And DC, I can't emphasize enough how badly they squandered abandoning Rebirth. They should embrace Doomsday Clock. Guys, just another observation about Doomsday Clock. Everybody who reviews Doomsday Clock gets higher hits on their videos. People care more about Doomsday Clock than any other DC title out there, hands down, period. And that's because it's Jeff Jones' style of storytelling. It's the sense of rebirth. Naomi gives a sense of rebirth, of hope, of wonder. That's probably why she's a perfect character for the DC universe. This whole thing, I hope it's working its way back to a sense of rebirth, not dark metal. And I say that out of respect to Scott Snyder. I love Justice League, but I hope at the end of Justice League we got firmly entrenched harmony and hope in the DC universe and the destruction of Perpetua. But sorry guys, I digressed a little bit. Anyways, tell me what you think of Naomi number 4. Hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom.